Hello, welcome to anthroposophy. If you're new here, then please subscribe. That really helps the channel, helps me. And if you want to follow us on Patreon, the link's in the text below. So today we're going to look at Dune, and of course Dune's in the news quite a lot at the moment. And you might see behind me Lawrence of Arabia with lovely Omar Sharif. And there we have a worm. And there we have Paul Atreides with his weirding device. So there's lots of things here that I'm really only going to touch on so you can follow them up. And you can follow them up on any of the text that I'm writing on Patreon and in the Facebook groups, which will also be in the text in the commentary below. So first of all, Dune 2. I guess you've seen Dune 1, and some people have even seen Dune 1984. So I think the first thing we'd have to say is you're looking at two things from an anthroposophical perspective, and that is the Harkonnens as representative of a kind of force like Ahriman we have in anthroposophy, and then the Bene Gesserit Order. You're looking at that as a kind of representative of Lucifer as traditional esoteric or occult knowledge, and that those two, the conversation between the two of them through the films is really revealing of this Ahriman Lucifer model that we have in anthroposophy. And again, you need to read up on that and understand that better to get deeper insight into the whole Dune universe. And then there's the other meditations in Dune about the whole question of technology and how we approach technology and machines, bearing in mind that the whole Dune universe is built upon the idea that human beings have to, as a reaction against a computer-dominated world, that's one of the meditations. How can we develop our human thinking abilities and psychic and clairvoyant abilities going forward to counteract what Rudolf Steiner says, that machines are going to be with us right until the end of Earth evolution. So there's again a big theme with a lot of occult background that needs to be followed up on. And really today, just in these, with these images and with me saying a few words here, it's really just to give background and reference to things, some of the things that I've been speaking about. Sorry about that, I got the bloody phone going off. Don't worry about that, it's going to go on to answering machine in a minute. Right, so there you go. So right, let's look at Lawrence of Arabia first. Okay, Lawrence of Arabia, again, if you want to see some really good acting and sort of classic old school great film, you'll see how it mirrors Dune in many ways. With Lawrence of Arabia, they're becoming part of the whole movement in the Middle East and taking on a role from the British in a very colonial take on the whole theme. And you'll see that getting mirrored in Dune with the whole Freeman, Paul Atreides then leading the Freeman against an established empire. So many of these questions of the established occult, and what it means to live in a world where you have these three parts of the occult. Okay, so in a very broad sense, Lucifer, Ahriman, and then the path Christ holding between the two. And on a deeper level, the whole question of the three aspects of evil, Lucifer, Ahriman, and the Asuras. So, like I said, you can explore that and look into those films, see if you agree with me drawing these links here. And there's a lot of things that you could reflect on uh, in that. Also, in the I can't remember his name. What was the name of the actor in Lawrence of Arabia? Anyway, it's not coming to mind right now. But that's the as a reluctant hero, but also being that hero, and it's something that I'm asserting in a lot of the backgrounds to the analysis on this film, which is the whole path that is being shown to us in Dune is the path of initiation. I did up this nice meme earlier to show this, so I'll just like share this with you now. And this is from Sergei Prokofiev's book, which is then built on, of course, on Steiner's work. And this is the outline of the path of initiation through the 7 stages. And what we're looking at here in Dune is the process whereby the initiate is taken through these different stages. And to give a brief summary, Raven would be the study of the occult. And that's what we're really doing in all of these analysis of anthroposophy in relation to popular culture and the works of Rudolf Steiner. And then slowly we're developing then a more inner life, almost like a point of reference, a point of observation where we've established a position of ourselves, also in relation to ourselves, of the observing of our own thinking. And that's something more that Rudolf Steiner deals with in the philosophy of freedom, which is another path as opposed to the knowledge of higher worlds that Steiner presents. But in a sense, once we've achieved this stage of initiation, we have then become a secret hidden one. In a sense, we are separated from the outer course of events. We are in the world, but not of it. And this is a stage, a very recognizable stage, which goes beyond the stage of just being a raven. And it's very interesting to compare ravens to crows, for example, or even to study crows. And this is a very interesting reflection on how crows are very much like brothers of an order in the traditional occult sense. And then we come to the third initiation of being a fighter. And this is really something that we see throughout Dune, of being a fighter for inner self-knowledge. And once this growing self-knowledge takes place and one goes through various trials to awaken to more of this self-knowledge of ourselves and the spiritual world, this struggle, this inner struggle, in meditation we'd say we are slowly descending deeper into the body, and the experience of a lion as this activates the feeling, the heart, or the middle area of the human being. We're starting to recognize that this is giving us a new sense of warmth in the middle, and this is this kind of kingship feeling of the lion. Now, once this has been achieved, and you can follow this with Paul Atreides in the Dune film, and see if you can follow these paths, because it's my contestation, it's my assertion that initiation are represented by Frank Herbert in the films and books, and that you can find this and you'll be able to find reference in the films and in the books to these 7 stages. So the Persian, or name of the folk to which the initiate belonged, we're seeing this reflected in Dune in the Freeman, and Paul Atreides then becoming part of that folk and taking on a predestined, prophesized path to rise to his karmic challenge through being part of this folk. And then later in the 6th stage, we're seeing how what he's achieved by becoming one in an initiation that joins him to the sun, which we see in Dune 2 with the drinking of the water of life. You're then seeing this experience of being extended out over and becoming one with the sun, and the experiences previously the initiate would have to leave the body and it's not the same anymore, but this is how he then comes back into life and is able to take on this role as a sun hero. And this is, you see this in Dune 2, where he finally decides to lead the Freemen in their battle. So this is how we come to the sun hero, and then the details of how one comes to the father are then dealt in the other upcoming, I guess, in the upcoming 3rd film of the trilogy, and then can be found in the books. And we'll leave that for now. So this is, I've got here this, I'll just show you, this is the also the video. We'll just watch this. This is what I did up, because very much we're dealing with cinema, with Hollywood. We're dealing also with something that I wanted to touch on in this video, which is also the beginnings of something that I've been writing about and will do more about, which is Goethe's color theory in relation to art. And this is very significant, I feel, seeing as everybody's watching more on screens and through Hollywood, the question of the moral effect of color. And you see behind me Lawrence of Arabia is very significant, the violet here. So I'm just going to share this that I did up, and we'll just watch this for a minute. So what I'm showing us there is I'm calling it prophecies of gazing. It's very important in any artwork, and also to question yourself the position, what happens through the gaze. And then at the end I've got this seal here, but what happens through the gaze, what is our interaction with the screen, what happens with the eyes, how is the eye made up, and how does the eye follow what is happening through the gestures, how are emotions evoked through this juxtaposition of color, movement, sound, facial expression of emotion. And then we're also looking at violet, and the meditation that I'm following here about violet is something I've spoken about, written about at more length, which is it's part of the challenge of in the consciousness soul that we experience indigo, and that through the experience of indigo, from this, we are called, the challenge of our time is not to retreat and to fall into black. It's to be aware of this. We'll see this also in the next video from June 1. But to be aware of black from indigo, and then to, through this awareness, move into an experience, an inner experience of violet. And this is a meditation one can take into all of our time. It's a very helpful also meditation when one's watching or thinking about this film. This is just moving on here to the June part 1. Bear with me a minute. So here we go.
The thing must leave. You can speak without fear. Our pet doesn't understand your language. Get out. It understands. Activate silence. It must never be known.
There's no satellite cell, Rarakis. Atreides would die in the dark.
On that matter.
So I find it interesting here. Here we've got the scene with the Reverend Mother Gaius Helen Mohiam and Baron Harkonnen. And it's almost like a discussion here between Lucifer and Ahriman. And you have this servant, the henchman of Baron Harkonnen. And then it's interesting the use of the voice of command, which you see all through Dune, in the command over the spider being. Now, any spider being is related to the eighth sphere in anthroposophy, and it's interesting that she has command, is able to, through her occult power of the voice, have command and order the spider being out of the scene when she's then speaking to Baron Harkonnen.
Dictator Atreides means nothing to our order. His wife is under our protection, and by extension, her son. Allow them the dignity of exile.
House Harkonnen would never dream of violating the sanctity of your order. I give you my word. We will not harm them.
If the Duke's son lives,
No Atreides will live.
My lord, you gave your word to the witch. She sees too much.
I said I would not harm them, and I shall not. But Arrakis is Arrakis, and the desert takes the weak. My desert. My Arrakis. My Dune.
So there's some really interesting things here. My desert, my Arrakis, my Dune. Now, if we're thinking here of Paul Atreides and the House of Atreides as representative of the middle path of something Christ related of between the two, that's the meditation on Dune all the way through, the Messiah figure or a Christ-like figure in Paul Atreides. This is this middle path between the two. And it's interesting that the reference here is made to the desert. The wilderness, the desert is the place of temptation for Christ before the baptism in the Jordan. So you've got here the reference, we would say, from anthroposophy, the idea that it is Ahriman who seeks to dominate this desert world, desert experience, though it would be a desert. And then on the other hand, we have this battle between him and there's a kind of working together, Lucifer and Ahriman here, between Baron Harkonnen and the Bene Desert Order. So back to the worm behind me. So all of these things are very interesting to reflect on in terms of the use of occult knowledge, also in terms of geopolitics, which again is why I'm relating to this to Lawrence of Arabia. But it's also very much for us as in terms of anthroposophy, in terms of spiritual schooling, about how we engage also with popular media like this. And I'll just finish with one reminder, which is that again, bear with me, I would love to have a whole team helping me with this, but I don't. It's just me. So I just want to get an image up that I did this week, and I'm just going to hopefully share it with you. Just a couple of other things that I'll share with you because I thought they were quite nice in relation I'm just going to allow myself to not be like, you can like, not everything in the world happens as quick as you want it to. Yeah, so I wanted to show you this. This was... Why am I showing you this? Bagpipes. Okay, Paul Atreides' planet is Caladan, very close to Caledonian, reference to Scotland. And if anyone knows their English Scottish history, you've got this split in also in Freemasonry in British history, and the relation to a very different kind of spirituality up above the border in Scotland to the one that was practiced in the split in Freemasonry between the Scots, the York Rite, and then at the time of James, down into the Freemasonry that came to be quite different in relation to English Freemasonry. And I found this very interesting that they picked up on this reference to the Celtic people in the books from Frank Herbert. And this was the quote from Villeneuve in the about June 1, when the bagpipes are used. This is the flower of Scotland. Very, very lovely. Always touches my heart a little bit. And there's some very interesting reflections on this in relation to the weirding machine. So this weirding device is what Paul Atreides is here holding, which is centered around his larynx, and then is like a weapon that can channel sound and speech in a form of mantra. I was thinking music, a traditional instrument. I'd always seen Atreides as a kind of Celtic people. So I realized they couldn't just disembark their ship. They had to be, how you say, piped out. And that's from Villeneuve, the director. I asked for more things to superimpose the sonic quality of one instrument onto another, so you would create these impossible sounds. Some people would say that the bagpipe is quite an impossible sound. Detractors, that is. The characteristics of a Tibetan long horn on a cello, and let a cellist play it so that you've invented a new instrument. I wanted it to be things which would float across the desert dunes and penetrate between the rocks, and I wanted things to sound dangerous. So that's that, which I just wanted to put in there. Now, there's something else that I wanted to share. And that was that, why is all this important? Well, according to in anthroposophy, according to the 33-year Christ cycle, Frank Herbert's Dune was published in 1965, which is 33 years before 1998, which is very important for the 666 rhythm of history. So in terms of that, and we will return to this theme, that's why Dune is incredibly significant for all of our generation that lived through that time, either side of 1998. And that's a subject that we will come back to and discuss again. Anyway, if you liked this video, then please give me a like or subscribe, or if you want to know the background to a lot of this stuff that I'm writing and doing about anthroposophy, I would advise you to read the books of Rudolf Steiner and lectures. Yeah. And then if you really would like to go deeper into how one can bring all this together, you can support me on Patreon. And I would be very, very happy and grateful if you would want to do that. So the link is there also in the text below. thanks very, very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I shall see you soon.